Hello all YouTubers, I am the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for tuning back into this weather presentation, monthly forecast for May 26, 2020. Before I get on with today's video, however, I would ask that you please do subscribe because sadly, tons of my watch time has been coming from unsubscribed viewers. We are on our way to our next goal of 600 subscribers, and thank you guys so much, by the way, for 500 subscribers. Let's get to our next goal of 600 subscribers, alright? So please do subscribe, and also, this applies to every single one of you, please watch the whole video as well as liking and sharing the video. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. Alright guys, so for today we're going to be talking about my official forecast for the month of June 2020. And please stay tuned because I will be doing my my summer forecast probably beginning of June, because obviously summer doesn't officially start really until end of June. So right in the beginning of June, right around when I'll do my final hurricane outlook, I'll most likely do my final summer 2020 forecast. All right, so let's get into it here. All right, before we go my forecast, however, we're going to be looking at some of like the models, like the Climate Prediction Center, a couple models real quick, just to see what they think, and kind of based on my guesses, my educated guesses, some models of some climatological data, and really goes into making my forecast. So for some reason, the Climate Prediction Center is a little warm happy for these kind of forecasts, like a little hot happy, little hot heads. All right, but you can see we do have a little gesturing digging down here. So your best chance, or according to the Climate Prediction Center, your best chance for cooler temperatures in the month of June would be the north central, upper Midwest, possibly parts of the Central Plains as well, but the West Coast, the Southwest, the South Central, the Southeast, the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, Great Lakes, etc. Pretty much any part of the country except the North Central and the Central Plains could potentially seeing some above average temperatures. Again, we still got almost, we got 5 days until June. I mean, at least 5 days until June. Alaska, they also put some warmer temperatures as well. To me, I like their precipitation maps a little bit better than their temperature maps. Possibly the Southeast up through the North Central Minnesota there, above average 30 to 40% chances, possibly up past 40% chances of above average precipitation. Overall, though, much of the country is just average, especially the Rockies, Mid-Atlantic, and North, or at least the Northeast. Northwest, they do put a little bit of a drier pattern. Southern Alaska, possibly some wetter times. All right, let's look at the CanSIPS model now. Now, keep in mind that this run was released May 1st. I don't know why they're always a little bit behind. All right, but May 1st is the latest one that there is. Don't blame me. That is their model. And their forecast for June, again, they're a little warm happy, but their best chances are little average spots. All right, will be parts of the Southeast. All right, a little spot there in Jersey and Delaware shoreline, but mainly they put the Southeast and Minnesota and in white, so that's your best chance of cooler times. Other than that, what I like to look at with these kind of models that are always putting warm temperatures on the map, I like to focus on where they really emphasize that warm air, because that's where I feel like they're really talking about some warm conditions. So where they emphasize the warmth is Central Plains up through the northwest part of the country, because some of the models were pretty different from each other all over the place. So in getting an educated guess from my forecast based on what I thought based on the models and kind of combining it there, it was hard because the models are all over the place here. So we're a little bit uncertain there for June. One of the factors is the North Atlantic oscillation, and obviously if that drops to a more of a lower level, we could potentially have some cooler times, at least for the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. So I had a North Atlantic oscillation pulled up. I decided not to show it, but let me show it to you guys anyway here. So again, some of the models at this point do project a little drop, some stay the same, and some go up. Like I said, the spaghetti models on the North Atlantic oscillation are a little bit all over the place. Now, why do you think we saw those colder times in May? Well, there you go. At least through like about 10 days of the month of May, we were below zero in that North Atlantic oscillation. So that's kind of correlates to the temperatures across the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic and even parts of the Great Lakes. Why was April so cold? There you go. I know over here in the Mid-Atlantic, we had we did have a couple of times we had some snow in April. I mean, obviously it was a few flakes, didn't really stick, but yes, it did snow in April. I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, compared to the rest of the winter, I mean, April was almost just as good. All right, so here's the CFS model precipitation outlooks, and their precipitation outlook for the month of June does have the Southeast and the Mid-Atlantic in a drier time, which they do have a little bit of a dry bias as well. All right, but I don't really agree with that, but what I do agree with is they do put the center part of the country in a more wet pattern, as well as Florida. That I do agree with. All right, they're not always a warm bias model. I don't say that about everybody. And they do put the West in a slightly dry. They have a few patches of some slightly dry air. That I also do agree with. All right, so here's the CFS temperature, or kind of like the weekly temperature outlook, and then we'll go to like the monthly outlook as well. All right, so starting with June 2nd to June 9th, much of the country is warm except for the Northeast and the Northwest and Texas. A little bit cooler air though, 9th to the 16th of June there, across much of the Northwest, Northern Rockies, Northeast. All right, possibly some cooler times, 9th to the 16th of June. All right, and then we got our cooler times as well, still 16th to the 23rd of June through Montana, North Dakota, but much of the center part of the country is warm or slightly above, and then there's parts of the Southeast, like Texas and the Carolinas, could be a touch cooler than average. And then 23rd to the 30th of June, much of the eastern part of the country does warm up, with a couple cooler patches possibly for the West, but we'll have to see about that. That I might not agree with, but we'll definitely have to see. Overall, however, CFS as a whole for the month of June, all right, let's go to 6Z. They are calling for some cooler times for the Northeast overall for the whole month, possibly a little cooler shot there for the Northwest, potentially for Montana, North Dakota, and then Texas. Some cooler spots. Other than that, much of the center of the country here does remain in a sort of warm, above average state. GEFS ensembles does indicate some warm times for much of the country, except for the Mid-Atlantic, Southeast, and the Northwest. But other than that, this goes through June 11th and looking at some warmer times for much of the country. Now, let's get to my forecasts. All right, so here we go. Here's my June 2020 forecast temperature outlook. All right, I think that stay tuned through the overall forecast too as well, because I'll begin to like overall like what you'll be expecting. Montana down through northern Nebraska, possibly some slightly cooler times. Much of the country though will be average for June, your warm summer times. But the Mid-Atlantic, possibly the Mid-Atlantic coastline down through the Southeast, through the South Central and Southwest, kind of like in a U, like a boomerang kind of shape there. So West Coast, South Central, Southeast, East Coast, these parts of the Mid-Atlantic coastline, some warmer times, and some especially warmer times possibly for Southern California, Southern Arizona, and as well as parts of the Southeast coastline there. Precipitation. What do I think about precipitation? Well, I think that the parts of the West Coast will be drier, possibly. All right, Arizona, California, up through Washington. I think that for parts of the eastern part of the country, eastern half of the U.S., we will have some wet times, possibly from Mid-Atlantic, Great Lakes, all the way down through the Southeast, but emphasizing those wetter conditions will be up from the Twin Cities down through the Tennessee Valley, Mississippi Valley, well, just the Mississippi Valley, actually, and parts of the Arklatex region, all right, southern parts of Texas, Louisiana, possibly emphasizing some of those wetter times. Now, for this, I'm going to keep this map zoomed out. I don't want to zoom in too much here. This is my overall forecast for June 2020. I forgot the drum roll, so there it is. All right, but here it is. All right, we're going to go from top to bottom of the chart you see on the right, kind of like your key. All right, pretty much this will be going west to east, pretty much. So starting with warm and dry, I think possibly some warmer and dry conditions are for the West Coast from, again, Washington down through Arizona, possibly western New Mexico. Some flip-flop conditions there for Washington, down through the Four Corners, down through Colorado, up through Idaho, back up to Washington again. Not to be confused with the darker gray, which we'll go over in a bit. Cooler, but I think it'll be primarily early mid-season, or early mid-June, I should say, for the north-central part into Montana, in the Wyoming, north-central part of the United States, and possibly New England. Cooler, probably early season, mid-season. I keep saying that. Early to mid-June, excuse me. I keep thinking this is a seasonal forecast. So early, mid-June, we could possibly see some cooler times early. Now, hot and humid will be eastern New Mexico, pretty much the whole state of Texas, especially southern part or central parts of Texas. Your severe weather core, probably going to be in the central part of the country. All right, possibly just north of Dixie Alley there in Tornado Alley, and northern Texas, Oklahoma, up through the Midwest, Indiana, possibly Kentucky. Some spots we can see some severe weather. The dark gray is average conditions, possibly for the north central, northern Kansas, through Minnesota, Wisconsin, the UP, Michigan, and then parts of what I like to call the interior Northeast and the coastal Northeast, I would classify this region up here as New England, and then this is south as the Mid-Atlantic, and then right in the middle is like what I like to call the Northeast. All right, so parts of the Northeast: New York, Massachusetts, New York City, New York, New Jersey, possibly some average conditions, and then wet and rainy for parts of the Central. All right, this does overlap the red, so obviously the red is pretty much there as well, but the red does overlap some of the greens. But wet and rainy conditions from Michigan down through Pennsylvania, all the way down through parts of the Southeast, down through the Mississippi and Tennessee valleys. We got your thunderstorms, all right, possibly some tropical thunderstorms, some tropical disturbances, possibly just some regular, your daytime thunderstorms that you get in the summertime for parts of eastern Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, down through the Florida Peninsula, and then obviously watching the tropics from the coast of Texas, northern Gulf Coast, up the Mid-Atlantic coast. We're going to be watching the tropics. Obviously, this is not just a coastline. I just wanted to make sure I had room for all my other graphics on there. So that is it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. I'm the Weather Dude, signing off. Till next time. Catch you guys next video.